Hey, what's up? The Brew Dude is back, here with another beer. So, the other day I pulled out my brew reveal, showed you all these Mexican style lagers that I got. Those are not all the ones that I found, but at that moment, they were just the ones that were readily available to me, and I grabbed them so I can reveal them and I can review them. I'm still gonna grab different ones, many more of them. In some cases, some that you can't even find here, I'll try to get. I have family in Mexico and stuff like that. So what we have here is Estrella Jalisco. It's a traditional. It claims to be traditional Mexican style lager, right? Grupo Modelo, imported by Import Brands Alliance. 4.5% alcohol by volume. So it should be in that range of like the extra, Corona Extra and stuff like that. Just a nothing light. It should just be a basic Mexican style lager with just a good amount of alcohol. It does claim to be crisp and not have an aftertaste. I'm not exactly sure what that means about not having an aftertaste, but the last thing I want is for it to be bland, right? I mean, although these Mexican style lagers can, in some cases, be a little bland, but I've had several of them myself. Like I said, my family is Mexican. I have family that is Mexican, and we drink a lot of different beers, especially when we go out. Sundays, we typically like to go out and just enjoy a nice meal, seafood or something, and enjoy a nice lager like this, which is crisp, it's clean, it cleans the palate. It goes very well with like seafood and like salty foods and very citrus foods and stuff like that. But this beer here, I actually came across it. My buddy of mine, he introduced it to me. He said, "Hey, try this beer. I've been drinking it, and I had it, and it was actually pretty good." So I tried it. I don't remember exactly too much of it, but I'm excited to go ahead. So off the bat, the smell, it smells like what you would expect a traditional Mexican style lager to smell. It's hard to kind of explain the smell, but it can have a little almost citrus, almost lime zest smell to them. It's weird. I know you're probably like, lime zest, skunky, the Pilsner malt. It's pretty. It smells good. Nothing wrong with the smell. I wouldn't typically pour it into a cup like this. Usually, when drinking some type of beer, and I don't want to just separate it and say, oh, just a Mexican style lager, but we don't usually pour beers into cups, right? When we drink something like this, we'll just cut a lime up and maybe even squeeze it in there, put a little pinch of salt, and we're ready to go. The only time we pour it in here is if we're going to do some type of mixed drink, a chelada or something like that. Or if you're in a venue that doesn't allow bottles, because when you drink too much, especially in some events, people start breaking bottles over each other, and you don't want that. So they'll pour it in a plastic cup. Like I said, the smell is really good. Is like I said, skunky, slight citrusy, almost like if you're smelling like the inside part of the rind of like a lime or something, right? I can smell the grain for sure. Not a lot of hops. I don't smell alcohol too much. It's pale, clean, crisp. I haven't tasted, so I can tell you exactly if it's crisp, but it looks like bubbles are just rising. Bubbles have developed on the side. There's no head whatsoever. There's a little film on top, but that's typical for some type of lagers like this. Yeah, I mean, it's cold. I like to drink these cold. And this is pretty cold. I put it in my cooler, and my cooler's like, I think it's like 45 degrees or something like that. Or probably even a little bit colder. Let's go for it. It's definitely crisp. There's a flavor in there. It's probably the adjunct that they use. It has a nice sweet flavor. Crisp. I don't know if it's too crisp. I'm not sure if it's a crisp enough based on what they said, but the carbonation is not bad. I mean, I don't really like too much of high carbonated beers anyway. Especially when you drink them, they bite and they kind of just dull the flavor. but it's very crisp. It's very thin. The body is light body. Slight bitterness. Actually, I get a little bit of bitterness. And I think the only reason I'm getting that bitterness is because it's a little bit lacking in flavor. I get what they're saying now with the aftertaste, like no aftertaste. It almost feels like there's a taste blocker that comes in like about mid-range of the beer. It's almost like a taste blocker that kind of just doles the flavor away, and then when you're ending it, you're just ending with that like just slight beer flavor, but nothing like when it comes to ingredients flavor. Alcohol is not there. It's not a bad beer, you know. It's watery for sure. It's not an intense flavored Mexican style lager. I know it's kind of almost sounds like you're like, wait a minute, Jose. I mean, they're made to be lagers. They're made to be that. Yeah, and I get it. That's fine. But I'm just kind of comparing it to some other ones that you might taste, that you have tasted, or maybe I've tasted. And if I compare that to those, you know, with the same style, you know, these just it feels like it's lacking a little bit of flavor. Right. So mid-range it tops off, and then it just dulls. It's like a flavor blocker. It's refreshing, that's for sure. It doesn't even feel like I'm drinking too much of a beer, I guess, per se. But I feel like that's kind of the thing about these beers is, you know, you want to sit around with your friends, you want to have, you know, a barbecue or a carne asada or something, and be able to drink a 12 pack by yourself. It's very common, you know, especially there's this running joke of like how Hispanic parties kind of like hold you hostage. You know, they never end really. You know, it's like you go to a little. It can be a quinceañera, it can be a kid's birthday party. It doesn't matter what it could just be Sunday, right? And people get together, and then everybody brings a case of beer, and you think, oh, they're bringing a case of beer, but those beers they leave, they're gone, right? And you wake up every morning with like some type of like, it's almost like just a minefield of like beer bottles, and you don't know where to step because you're gonna step on one, and it gets crazy. But I can see that why, you know, beers like this are used for that. I mean, I can spice that up a little bit. You know, this beer will actually go well with a lime and a little bit of salt, right? You know, just to kind of kick it up a little bit. Throw some rocks in a cup, get some limes in there, and then just kind of rub the lime zest off of the actual lime pulp off of the limes, and throw the whole lime in there, a little bit of rock salt, and then just pour a beer in there, and it actually be really good. But yeah, this is refreshing. It's really good. It's nice for a nice barbecue or something. You just want to have some beer and everything, and slowly get to the level of like, you know, the beer, the alcohol that you want to feel. Or on a nice hot day at the beach or something, just pop some beers. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's not my favorite Mexican style lager, but it's really good. It's really good. But if you want something with a little bit more flavor, it's probably not for you. Yeah, Estrella Jalisco. My parents actually from Jalisco, different parts of Mexico, but my mother, she's from the Jalisco area, so it's actually pretty good. 12 fluid ounces, Grupo Modelo, 4.5 alcohol by volume, Estrella Jalisco. Look for it, try it out, see if you like it, mix it with something, fine. Future videos, I'll probably mix it with something and see if we can elevate it just a little bit. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and liking, and with that said, the Brew Dude is out!